I've been joined on phone now by the Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram constituency, Sam Nate George, to react to statement made by the Communication Minister, Esla Osu. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Right, an afternoon to your viewers.
Great to have you here. Tell me your initial reactions from the statement given by the Communications Minister.
Well, it was a very elaborate way of eating the humble pie. I mean, she, as recently as last week, was very vociferous that there will be no extension. And we had maintained that that was a very uninformed position. As sector minister, you don't make such public pronouncements without consultation with your stakeholders. So if as recently as last week in Kumasi, she was so boisterously saying there will be no extension, what briefing did she have before she made that? I mean, that's poor policy making. Policy making and policy decision is a derivative of stakeholder engagements. So if you have a minister who doesn't do stakeholder engagement and comes to speak to the public, it explains the mess in policy implementation that you're seeing.
The NDC, in her case, has strongly been accused of inciting their followers not to register and all that. She mentioned that. What do you make of that as well?
Responsible comment coming from a minister of state. Extremely irresponsible, and it's behavior unbecoming of a minister who represents all Ghanaians. The minister has a penchant for thinking that she's a minister for MPP voters. She's a minister for the Republic of Ghana, paid by the taxes of NDC members, CPP members, PPP members, and all members of every political affiliation. So holding a national press conference on national TV and wrongfully accusing a political party is most regrettable and unfortunate and highly responsible, we must state. But again, to show you how childish the minister is, for want of a better phrase, is the minister saying to me or saying to us from her own statistics.
But is that not true that some members of the NDC were asked not to go and register their SIM? Isn't it true?
Wait. 26 million out of 42 million SIM cards have not been registered. 62% per her own statistics. Is she telling me that 62% of mobile card holders in this country are NDC members? If they are, then the NDC should have won the last election. You see the logic or lack of logic in the minister's statement? Her own statistics say 62% of SIM card holders in this country have not registered. And she claims that it is NDC members who didn't register. That shows you how intelligent the minister's logic is.
But couldn't that have also be a contributing factor, aside the fact that she mentioned in some areas there were poor connections and all that?
So why did she not blame the NIA? Why did she not blame the unrest in Boku? Why did she want to place the blame on the doorstep of the NDC? That's why I'm saying that when you hold the high office of minister, you must have emotional intelligence and know where to position issues when you have failed in policy implementation. We have this mess not because of any political party, but because the Minister for Communications and Digitalizations, Honorable Esla Usu Ekufo, has failed in her mandate as Minister for Communications and Digitalization. If you're a minister and you have a mandate to execute a public policy, and the policy is so shambolic that even after you have given 2 extensions or you've given an extension, 62% have been unable to register. The minister gave a deadline of today, yet the app that is supposed to allow self-registration is going to be live from in 2 days' time. You see how effective she is? 2 days after her deadline, that is when the app that is supposed to help people do self-registration at a fee is coming to play. 2 days after her deadline, she's now giving directives for how Ghanaians outside this country will be able to register. So how did you fix a deadline when you had not taken into consideration all shades of persons affected by your policy? Policy directives are supposed to have a 360-degree approach to implementation. And that's why I'm saying that, and like the CPP chairperson said, the Minister for Communications has completely lost touch with reality. If this was another jurisdiction, she will not be holding that office today as we speak.
She also mentioned that, according to a report that she's guarded, people went back to sleep Getting towards the registration, and a week into the deadline, there were long queues at these telcos offices. So, isn't the doing of we the Ghanaians a level of reluctancy?
If you had a self-service app running at the time she did the extension, would you have seen the long lines there? The long lines are there because many people who could afford to pay the 5 CDs and use the self-service app did not have access to the app because she had failed to provide that app. If there is anybody responsible for the failure of this policy, it is Esla Usu. She is blaming everybody but herself. Who implemented the policy? Who gave the timelines? Was it the NIA? Was it the people of Boku? Was it the NDC? Was it foreigners? Was it Ghanaians resident outside the country? Was it not her who gave that policy? All of these people who are affected by her, the poor implementation plan she put in place, were they in a position to roll out the policy? Were they in a position to give deadlines? She's come beautifully to come and blame everybody but herself. But anybody and everybody who is technical and understands the implementation of such a project knows that this has been a failure, a catastrophic failure. This will be learned